In this video, we're going to be solving multi-step linear equations. Now, we're not going to see everything in this video. This is just part one. In the next video, we'll be looking at some other cases as well. Let's first talk about the steps to solving multi-step linear equations. Now, these steps are not the only way to get this done, but if you're looking for some steps to help you out, maybe this will help. The first thing I like to do is simplify and combine any like terms that are on the same side. So we talk about the scale and the equation being balanced. If things are sitting on the same side of the scale or on the same side of the equal sign and they're like terms, you can put them together. When we're doing that simplifying on one side, we're going to follow order of operations. Now, once you've gotten everything simplified, then it's time to start moving things to the other side, potentially, of the equal sign. Whenever we're moving things across to the other side of an equal sign, we're going to have to follow reverse order of operations to work backwards. So in step 2, we start that reverse order of operations process by trying to get the variable on one side of the equal sign. So anything that has a variable in it is going to go to one side, and every constant or things that don't have a variable are going to go to the other side. And the way we're going to move those things is adding and subtracting. After we've done that, the last thing we're going to probably need to do is get the variable completely by itself. And we're going to do that by using multiplying and dividing. Let's take a look at example 1. On one side of the equation, we have negative 5x plus 12, and on the other side, I have 3x. So first things first, I'm looking to see, are there any like terms that are on the same side that we could put together? So on this side, negative 5x plus 12, those are not like terms, so we cannot put them together. On the other side is just a 3x, so nothing we can do there either. That means for this equation, there's no simplifying or combining that we can do before we start moving things around. So step 2 is to get the variable on one side and everything that's a constant without a variable on the other side. When I start to look at this, I see that 12 right here is my only constant without a variable. If my 12 is on the left side, that means everybody with a variable really needs to go to the other side over here. So that means this negative 5x is who I think I need to move first. Now, I'm not trying to separate the negative 5 from the x. I want to take that whole term, negative 5x, and move it to the other side. And the way we move entire terms is adding and subtracting. Since it's a minus or negative 5x, the opposite of that would be plus or positive 5x. And what you do to one side, you have to do to the other. Negative 5x plus 5x is 0. So those will cancel out, and we'll be left with just 12 on that side. The other side is 3x plus 5x now. Those are like terms, so we can put them together, and we'll have 8x. I'm getting closer. We're almost there. Step 3 is we've got to get the variable by itself. This is where I want to take that 8 and move it off of the x. It is being multiplied, so the way we would move that 8 is divide. So we've got 12 over 8 is equal to x. And if you don't like it that way, you could rewrite it as x equals 12 over 8. And then you're done, unless that will reduce. And I think that fraction does reduce. So you can use your calculator to reduce it, or you could divide top and bottom by 4, the greatest common factor. And we'd be left with 3 over 2 for our final answer. Let's Let's try example 2. On one side of the equation, or the equal sign, we have 4x plus 6 minus x. On the other side, we have x minus 2 plus 2x plus 8. So I think there's some simplifying to be done here. On the left, I'm looking for like terms that we could put together, like 4x and negative x. Now these guys are already on the same side together, so we don't have to do the opposite because nobody is moving across the equal sign. Since they're already there, we can just put them together. 4x minus x is 3x. And I still have that plus 6 going to be hanging out there. On the other side, I've got a couple more x's I could put together. This x is a like term with 2x. They're on the same side, so we can just put them together. X plus 2x is 3x. We also have a negative 2 and a positive 8. Those are like terms, and they're on the same side, so we can just put them together. Negative 2 plus 8 is positive 6. So that's step 1. Get everybody that's on the same side that's like terms simplified and put them together. Next, we're going to move the variables to one side and the constants to the other. I'm going to start by moving this 3x over here to the other side. Since it's a positive 3x, we would move it by doing minus 3x. Now something weird just happened. Do you see it? 3x minus 3x cancels out, but it also cancels out over here. We are left with 6 on the left and 6 on the right. When that happens and you get a true statement here, that means any real number will work in the spot of x. So our answer is all real numbers. There's a fancy symbol that you can use for that. It's this fancy R. That stands for all real numbers. When we say that, it means whatever you put in here for x, you can put any number you want in here. As long as you put the same number in each of those x's, this thing is going to work. I actually knew that way up here. If you think about it, 3x plus 6 equals 3x plus 6. That's always going to be true no matter what you put in here. If I put a 2 in here and a 2 in here, that's going to work because you're doing 3 times 2 plus 6 on each side. It's always going to be true. Now, if you do this process and you get down here and you get something like 5 equals 6, that is false. And if you get a false statement, it means there is nothing that is going to work. And your answer then would be no real solution. Let's do one more. Example 3. On one side of the equation, we have a 4 just sitting over here by himself. But then I have all this stuff on the other side. So first up, I'm looking to see, is there something on the right side that has a like term we could put together? And I think it's these guys. They're both x's. So we're going to be able to put those together. Remember, we don't have to do the opposite to move those because they're already together on the same side. We can just put them together. Negative 7x plus 6x is negative 1x. Sometimes we just write that as negative x. Remember, if there's no number in front, it's like a 1 is sitting there. So now I think that's all the simplifying we can do. We're on to the next step where we are going to put all the x's on one side and all the constants on the other. Well, in this equation, I only have one x, and he's sitting over here on the right side. If I have one x on the right side, that means all the things that are constant need to go to the left side. So I'm going to start by subtracting 4, because positive 4 minus 4 is going to be 0, which will get my x by itself a little better. On the left, these also cancel out. 4 minus 4 is also 0. Now this is a bit problematic because I have to put something there. I can't just leave that side blank. And so we are going to put the number that means everything canceled out and there's nothing there, which is 0. On the other side, we still have negative x. Now I don't quite have x by itself yet because it's a negative x and I need it to be x. So we need to move that minus sign. Now remember that negative sign sitting there is like this is a negative 1. So we would move it by dividing by negative 1. Because negative 1 divided by negative 1 is 1. So that's going to leave me with 1x. On the other side, I've got 0 divided by negative 1, which is 0. And again, if you don't like it like that, you could rewrite it as x equals 0. Either way, it's the same answer.